So thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to share. And tonight is going to be storytelling. So I took my granny's shawl on it, kind of soft, what do you call knitted shawl.
Yeah.
And it's just the rocking chair missing. But Judy has one upstairs. But you asked me many have asked me how it came to Gyan. And I'm from Sweden. I was born in a Swedish family on the countryside. And I wanted to move to the city as fast as possible. So I moved to the closest town, there's like 15 kilometers away when I was 15. And I studied to become a nurse. So I moved to Stockholm when I was 18. And I moved to London when I was 23. And when I worked in the hospital, I had an experience. I worked in intensive care unit for children. And in one of my shifts, a boy on 5 years, he was very ill. He had some kind of meningitis, I think. They have to close the respirator, and he died there. And the priest was there, the doctor was there, the parents was there, and he left the body, and I never seen anyone live in the body, and I was only 19. And I couldn't place it in Christianity. I didn't understand why kids have to leave the body because they haven't had time to perform any sin. So next day I went to the office and signed out of the church. So I thought I'll leave the church and I will help people. I always wanted to help people. I thought I'd help them politically. But then I couldn't choose if it was Nicaragua, South Africa, or Afghanistan, and on what criteria I would choose. So I ended up going to parties and lying for the sofa for many years. And then I met my boyfriend and we moved to London. And in those days, you could easily just say to work, I quit job for a year and you can come back to the same job 1 year later like that, no problem. And I had become vegetarian, so there they have many vegetarian whole food shops. In Sweden at that time was only canned pills and vitamins. There was nothing with real food, brown rice, etc. wasn't available in Sweden in the 80s. So I worked in a whole food shop. And the manager there used to go to Brahma Kumaris. It was a ex-BK at that time. And he saw me from the countryside, married, looked a bit dull. Maybe he thought I'm on the safe side with this girl. So he employed me as an assistant. But I could feel he was different. I didn't know. He didn't tell me about Brahma Kumaris. But he had a badge. And he said, you won't understand. But if you meet people who have this badge, you should stop and talk to them because they're special people. So in London for half a year, I walked around looking for people with this badge. No, I worked in Covent Garden, also didn't see anyone. And when I took the train, I took an extra car. I walked extra to see if I find somebody. And he used to drive a motorbike, and he didn't allow me to borrow. I also had a bike. He didn't allow me to borrow his helmet because he didn't want my waste thoughts in his helmet. And I couldn't borrow his cutlery because he didn't want impure being to eat with his knife and fork like that. And he took the vegetables to some old ladies in white Saturday evening. So, like that. And one day I thought he's got different vibes. I asked him if he was gay. And he just laughed. He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. So finally I worked out there was something with meditation called Raj Yoga. So I went to Foyle's bookshop in London, which is the biggest, and ended up with Patanjali Raj Yoga. And that didn't work out. But then finally he brought some people to give talks in the center. So I found out about the center and I had a week off. So I decided to go and take the course. And I took the course in Tennyson Road then with a sister from Australia. And she talked about the soul. And I thought, okay, nothing new really. And she talked and talked and talked. Oh my God. And then she talked about God, and I said, no way. This is not my place because I was an atheist. But I had signed up for the course as it's embarrassing to quit halfway. As a Swede, you would never do that. So I could have signed up, I'll manage, I'll do the course. But then when we came to the soul, to the cycle and the tree, I loved it. And it was like the curtain of my intellect went up for a moment. And I looked at the cycle and I couldn't understand all of it. I looked at the tree and I could understand it. And that all religions fitted in one tree with no branch better than the other, just different. I thought it was amazing. I've always been interested in religion, trying to understand the essence of the religions, but it's not that easy. And so I just loved it. So I thought, okay, maybe there is something. So I thought I'll try the morning class. And I lived on the East London, and the center is in West London, Northwest. So I drove with my motorbike across whole London. Came early, as you do as a Swedish, 15 minutes early. And I sat at the back, a bit shy. And the old Indian ladies, it was in Darnhill Community Center, they came, rolled out their carpet, removed all the beer cans, and they put Shiv Baba up, and slowly people started to come. And then some had to leave early, and I thought, my God, this is like Liverpool street station, people coming and going, coming and going. And I said, I'm not going to sacrifice my morning sleep for that. So I thought I'll try one more morning, and I sit in front. And somehow it didn't cross my mind that everyone was in white and I was in black. I don't know. It kind of. I had totally black clothes. I had short red henna colored hair, very short like this. And I had long metal earrings here. It looked very nice. And so I walked up, sat in front, and they thought I was a brother with my short hair and black clothes. So you know how Indians, they shuffle sometimes? So they shuffled me over to the brother side. And when I stood up, they saw I was a sister after all. So they shuffled me back to the sister. It's like this. So I sat there, okay. And I think they smell nice. Maybe I don't smell nice. I didn't take a shower or anything. And then Sister Genti sat and came on the gadi. Yeah, and no one had explained Drishti. So I saw she sat there looking at people. So I looked around and looked what the others were doing. And I saw they looked at her. So I thought, okay, I also look at her. So I looked at her and she looked at me. And then I had two thoughts. Very, very powerful Drishti. And my first thought was, wow, this is peaceful. I could sit here for the rest of my life. And here I am, 40 years later, with the granny shawl and still sitting here. And that was a big thought for me. I was always on the move, always moving, traveling, doing things. And the second thought was I looked at her and thought, wow, I had a feeling this power of peace was not coming from her. It was coming from elsewhere, beyond her eyes. So I thought maybe there is a God after all. That was my second thought. And I thought then if she can tap into that, I also want to learn. So that's how I started to come to class little by little. And they had a community there, a sister's house. They invited me sometimes to meditate with them. So I started to go to class. And, but I was a bit of a wild one. And Sister Genti heard that Daddy Yankee was going to Stockholm. No, she didn't hear. She told me that Daddy Yankee was going to Stockholm for a weekend and Germany was going to go with her and maybe maybe I could go there and take benefit from the company because I was living in Stockholm. I came from Stockholm at that time. I said, okay. So I packed my motorbike gear, my big bags on the side, and I went. It's 3 days. You take the boat across from Hull to Denmark and then drive all the way up to Stockholm. And there was no GPS at that time, so I took the wrong turn and I came across the field because the center was by a field and it was very cold, so I put the Merle in the jacket for isolation. You know, his paper is very good insulation. So when I said Om Shanti to the sister, I opened my jacket and the Merle fell out. She never forget that. And when I left London, I asked Daddy Yankee and Sister Gente to bless my bike, and they did it. They put a sticker on the bike, blessed it, and sent me off. And some weeks before that, I mean, I wasn't that long in London. I took the course in November, and I think I left in April or May for Stockholm in May, maybe. And Daddy Yankee once said, when you should offer Borg, and when you offer Borg, you should offer the best you have. So I thought, what is the best I have? It's my motorbike. So I went back to my house and I went out on the street and I put the ball cloth on the saddle and I sat on the street and I offered my bike to my and I had such lovely meditation. Mm. I used to offer Borg in the shop, even though I didn't know where it was. And nobody told me about onion and garlic, so I offered onion and garlic and everything. And I used to give my food to God, and I would see God giving it to the whole world, to everyone who didn't have food. Because I had a feeling I should become a nurse. And, you know, when we were young, there was these Ethiopia children, Biafra children, all of that on the news all the time. So I thought I got to go and help them. But then I came to Brahma Kumaris. They said, you got to help yourself before you help others. And I thought, how boring. But it is actually hard work to change yourself, so I'm very appreciative for that. So I came back to Stockholm. I was there for a while, and I used to take the sister on the back of my back and take her for service various places. And then in 88, Lotta was moving back to Stockholm, and then I went to Copenhagen for help. So we kind of shifted. So I've been in Copenhagen since 88. So yeah, that's a long time ago now. I become Danish citizen and I think in Danish. And only when I get emotional, I go back to Swedish. And my spiritual life is in English. It's like that. I got 3 languages in my head. Yeah. And some shifts in my Brahmin life. I think one of them was when we did the SML course. I shared this with Jenna, right? A self-management leadership course, some of you might remember. And it's like a business model on the self. And Judy here is a fantastic facilitator in that. And we were asked to identify our purpose. And I always used to think that I'm available for Baba. That's my purpose, to be available for God. But they wouldn't accept that in the course. So I had to work out the purpose. And they asked us, what happens with others when you're in the room? You know, what kind of vibrations and atmosphere do you create maybe without thinking about it? So I thought, okay, I'm a hopeful person, so I'll choose hope. I take hope as my person to give hope. And then, of course, slowly through the years, you start to realize that why I often end up in hopeless situations. It's because there I have to do my job. So I've been working in prison now for 30 years. I've been teaching in prison meditation as a government employed meditation teacher, and also in the psychiatric ward in the prison. And I think that's the most hopeless place you can be. mentally ill and criminal at the same time is not nice. And now I work with climate change, and which is one of the most hopeless situations you can be in if you work with these people. It's like that. And I find it a very useful tool because, for example, if you're a doctor, it's like in your destiny that you say yes to work with sick people all the time. So you don't ask question, why does another sick person come in my life, Actually, it's the opposite. I've seen it with many doctors. The more complicated illness, the more enthusiastic they become to cure it, to find out. The boring things with cough and warts and things is no enthusiasm for them. So if you identify your speciality being love, you might end up in very unloving situations again and again and again. It's not because you're doing anything wrong, it's because there Baba can use you. There you're at work. And Daddy Yankee said very easily once, very similar, if the orange juice is too sour, just add some sugar. It's kind of more or less the same. And I find it very useful to stop asking why I end up in this situation. Why is this happening? It takes some homework, but in a good day, one can do that homework. And in one of the Murlis, when I was in Madhuban, Baba said that the speciality you come to Baba with, come to Gyan with, through that speciality you will reveal God. So you have to know what it is, because it gives it extra power. So this, I understood, okay, Baba, we do 50-50, I used to say. And actually it was Diane Tillman, who I visited now in California, who helped me to think like that. 50-50, she also used to say. 50 I'm available, and 50 I create my own life through the power of thought. I shape my destiny. I take Baba's power to say yes and no and to work on myself. And 50 I'm available. And Diane also said very early on in Gyan that, I asked her, if people praise you a lot and they say thank you, what do I do with it? And she says 50-50. 50, yes, you did good work, Baba likes it, and 50 you give to Baba. So not always say, no, it's Baba, it's Baba, it's Baba, because it's also you. Yeah. And without having ego mixed into it, but just like having a partner relationship with Baba. And actually, you asked me about meeting Bapdada. And I was in Stockholm, so I went to Baba, to Madhuban in 86. 87 I went. And I sold my motorbike, and for the money I bought a computer for the center, and I bought a ticket to Madhuban. And I came to Madhuban early November in 87. And Daddy Yankee took mercy on me, so she she asked me to stay for a month. And we were 20 double foreigners when I arrived, and we were 200 when I left. And I thought, so many, 200, wow, how many? And Bapdada used to come every third day. So every time Baba came, every double foreigner got a personal meeting. So I met Baba 6 times. And but the first real meeting, we had to sit on stage and then go up one by one. And I had taken the sari on, and I wanted to look nice. And I had to sit on stage, and I started to feel my legs like spaghetti. I got getting nervous, and I think I will stand up and trip over my sari, and I will fall, and 3,000 people in Om Shanti Bab will laugh at me. And I got terrified. So, woo. But I made it standing, and I came in front of Baba, and he started to speak about me being happy, creating the fortune of others. And I had a smile from one ear to the other ear, like this. I was so happy. And then suddenly I'm thinking, this is not matching. God looks so serious, and I'm grinning. This big smile. This is not match. So I just had this thought, and then Baba stops his line of speaking his story, and he says Bab Dada is always happy when he sees his effort making children. So then I know, okay, Baba, read your thoughts. That's how it is. Always like that. And Daddy used to give newcomers a lot of attention. So as we newcomers, we used to go and say good morning to Daddy before class. Actually, all Daddies, they used to live around History Hall. So you started around kind of 5:30 and went around Prakash Mani Daddy, Ratan Mohini Daddy, Manohar Daddy, and Daddy Janki and said good morning. I got to Toli. And Daddy Yankee used to give a lot of love to us newcomers. So next year I come, there was a new lot of newcomers, and Daddy didn't pay special attention to me anymore. And I had so much Maya. I thought, what I've done wrong, or maybe I'm not so good yogi after all. All sorts of thoughts was going through my head. And you're kind of begging a little bit for attention when you go and take a toli. And then I heard by chance there was a brother saying that Daddy had praised me for something when I wasn't there. And I thought, my goodness, all these thoughts I've had for a whole week, and it's not actually true. So I decided there and then I will always believe, no matter what, if Daddy looks at me, not look at me, talk to me, she loves me, that's it. It's going to be my attitude. And it works. We had such a nice relationship with Daddy. And sometimes she calls you, sometimes not, doesn't matter. And I think one can do these decisions also with the self. Because now David is not there, but David asked about self-respect. And I think if there is something I would have done different in my life, would have been to maybe start to work earlier on my self-respect. Because I think I was 15 years in Gyan, something I realized, okay, I got to do something about this. And it started with, I met a sister in Madhuban from Holland by chance. I didn't know her. She had stopped in the walkway in Shantivan. And she shared, I said, you look very happy. What are you doing? And she says, I just don't have opinions about other people anymore, she says. If people want to be angry, they can be angry. If they want to be intolerant, they can be that. I set other people free. I try not to think about, have opinions, what they do. I don't give advice anymore. I just set them totally free. They can be absolutely how they want. And she said, that means I've set myself free. So I can be how I want. And I thought, that's very smart. So I started to practice it. And I tried to keep it until now, many years later, not to give advice unless people ask for it, and not to have too many opinions about what others do even. And just to sort of be there and listen and try not to think too much about other people. But she also said that whenever she makes a mistake, she will become very sweet with herself. And she had forbidden negative self-talk. So I took a decision there and then, okay, I will do the same. No negative self-talk. No. I've seen in the doctor's clinic so many times how parents treat their kids so different ways, right? And I feel I have to treat myself, be a good parent to myself. You know, because if you have a nice breakfast table and the kid sort of push a glass over and get milk all over the breakfast table, if you tell them off, they start crying and then they get a bit nervous, so there's any bigger chances for another accident. It's just not very smart, right? I mean, it doesn't take that high intelligence to work out this is not the best way of doing it, right? If you don't want another accident. So if you have another accident, you actually asked for it yourself. And I feel I can treat my thoughts the same way. If I do sideline, or if I'm not so good, if I'm tired, if I'm feeling low, if I don't get it, if I can't have yoga, whatever that you can feel, and not to be hard on the self. So I just started doing this with, I used to go to my favorite meditation spot and say, Sweet Sonja, until when I'd done something wrong. I said, Sweet Sonja, Sweet Sonja, Sweet Sonja, until the bad feeling is gone. And this is a very effective way of dealing with the self. And it's like a decision. And around the same time, I heard Vedanta Ben giving a class. She's a kind of eager student always. And she said this time in Madhuban she's doing everything opposite. So she goes to a different place to do meditation. She speaks to different people. She tried to do everything opposite what she normally do. And I thought that's interesting. And I remembered my niece in school in Sweden. They had the opposite day once a year. So they started with the break and had the class after. They're sitting under the table and they have the lunch in the morning and breakfast in the evening, like this, everything opposite. And after one day, everyone loved going back to normal. So I thought I will do everything opposite. So if I feel tension normally with the person or something is in the air, I would withdraw. That would be natural. Maybe it's Cancerian, I don't know. But I would withdraw and pull back a bit. And then I decided to go opposite. So if I have a conflict with the person, I would walk closer to them and start speaking to them. And this is very kind of scary if you're not used to it. But I had very nice results. Very good. Very nice. And at breakfast in Copenhagen or dinner tables, I'm often the one who initiate conversation. How is it going? What's happening here? And I decided not to do that, to wait. I just sit down and be silent and wait for others to initiate the conversation. And they get a bit nervous first. They think Sonja is moody or something. But after a while, they start speaking and you get a totally different conversation. They speak when they initiate is different than if you answer a question or how is it going. So I used to enjoy those conversations much more than before. And I also give myself a bit more ease in not having to be the kind of entertainer all the time. So many things I started to do different. And I started to listen to classical music when I meditated. I had like a year with soft classical music. I had nice meditations. So many things I entertained myself in this way. So that was a good fun. Lots of fun. But self-respect, yeah, I think it's one has to sort of just deal with it and not allow negative self-talk. I feel that's important. And there is absolutely no justification for that. And the only one who is allowed to speak negative about you is God, and it tells you you're impure. And he gets away with it because he doesn't have any agenda as such. But apart from that, it's not really working. Mm. And the other thing then was, of course, when the environment initiative started, there was a big change in my life. And this practice of Sweet Sonja, always thinking about myself, especially when I've done mistakes, that started a few years before the environment started. And I sometimes have a feeling that that practice brought this wonderful initiative in my lap. Mm. And I didn't see it coming, I didn't ask for it. And as I told you, I read in the paper that Brahma Kumar, that there's coming a big conference in 2009 to Copenhagen, and the world leaders will come. And I thought, wow, Baba should be there also. So back and forward here and there, we started the Brahma Kumaris Environment Initiative, and I had no idea, nothing. I didn't even know it was good for the environment to be vegetarian. And I sat down, looked at Trimurti. Maybe it's got something to do with balance or something. But we started. And Sister Dianti then suddenly says, I'm coming for 12 days. And I nearly fainted. Because, we're a handful, we're about 5 Brahmins. And where are we going to put them? And because the government has blocked all hotels. Couldn't get an hotel room. And then we invited Golo. Golo didn't reply, so I gave up on him. And then suddenly I get a mail, I'm coming. I thought, wow. And then this person wanted to come. Piero wanted to come. Valerian wanted to come. Julia wanted to come. But somehow we managed. And I really enjoyed it. And yeah, so we have a free town in Copenhagen where the normal laws don't apply. Now there's a lot of drugs, but there used to also be a lot of philosophical discussion, alternative way of living, and they were engaged in the climate change. And Sistiente got an invitation to go there in a debate, and there was some famous Danish writers, authors, and we discussed, I think, for 4 months, are we bringing Sistiente to this place or not? Is it safe or is it not safe? Is it good for her name or not her name? And we ended up bringing her there, and she loved it. She's an activist by heart. And they had a big fire outside, and they burnt the American dream. And she took some wood and put on the fire. And she loved it. And the people were sitting in a big tent with kind of on benches with no back for the back. And yeah. And we got some good speaking. And I made some friends there. We're still friends with them in Copenhagen. And I realized as we started to churn that it's very interesting to understand the relationship between mind and matter, how it actually works, and how to explain that for other people, that your thought is above matter. I mean, how do you explain it? Old days you used to have 2 to 3 minutes. Nowadays you have 30 seconds, even less maybe, I think 20 seconds nowadays, attention span. But it's been a big platform. It's taken me around the world, so it was good. But you can see the dilemma when it started. We started to read about it in the newspaper. It was 2008, and the economic crisis had just been there. So on one side in the newspaper it said, buy as much as you can to kickstart the economy again. So buy this, buy that. But we got extra money to buy things for. And on the other, you turn the page, and then it said climate change is kicking in. We're having a conference. Buy less, buy less, buy less. Same edition, buy more. And next page, buy less. And I thought there's something wrong here in this society. Yeah. But it became a very, very beautiful initiative. And we don't have an official wing or department as such. And I kind of choose it that way in consideration, in consolidation with others, because first you have to spend a lot of time in administration. And the other thing is that there should be environmental concern in each wing. It shouldn't be a separate wing. in each center, each region, each should have some environmental consideration in their lifestyle, in their management, in their programs. And we done well. We done well. So when I travel now, I don't ask for green coordinators from the centers. I ask for green angels. So I'm collecting green angels because if you ask for a green coordinator, nobody wants to help you. But if I ask, do you want to become a green angel? Many people want to help you. It's like about the language you choose. But then Judy asked, and you asked about my experience with the daddies. So I started to think about it. And about Prakashmani, first time I came to Madhuban, she was just there welcoming everybody when we came. And I think like one of the first days she asked me something, what I thought about this. And I thought, Daddy asking me my opinion. I was kind of, I thought it was nearly a bit embarrassing. But I realized afterwards, she can see when people need self-respect. So she would encourage you. This is what she could see, lack of self-respect. So she wanted to help you. So she asked about my opinion about something. It's very sweet. And I used to love it that she sent all the brothers in Panda Bhavan down to Shantivan to play football once a week. Because I love playing football and hanging out with brothers, I always done. I used to stand there next to the bus going down to Shantivan, wishing I could go down with them and play some football. But you should kind of know how to look after your people. And you know that so many brothers don't do physical exercise. They need to move, they need to get out, they need to, to have fun. So once a week, football in Shantivan. And she had a very visible leadership style. You know that, Judy. She used to sit in the courtyard every day, and people could come and ask questions. And she would know each department and each wing. And they also say, she used to know the price of rice and everything. So very, very close, intimate leadership. And nowadays the Yaga is very big. It's very difficult to have this kind of leadership. So each department needs to have it. And I remember when Daddy Janki left the body Hansa band, she took Sister Janti around on each department in Shantivan because she should know each department. But now it's like 40 departments, I think. And you maybe make 2 per day and then you can't do much other things. It's a big, it's not like in Pandabab and old days you walk around in a day. It becomes very, very big. But we are very lucky. We can just go and meet our leadership, then ask for an appointment. Not many other organizations of this level. You can just ask for an appointment with Mohini Didi or Sister Gente nowadays, and you get it somehow or another. Very unusual. And you walk without bodyguards in the courtyard. Very unusual. So there is a kind of lovely atmosphere, even though it has grown big and it's not the same personal any longer. It still has this kind of family feeling compared with many other places. And first time, Daddy Prakashman used to sit in history hall, and she used to have this Nepalese soft shawl, like a little small pattern, and then a very, very thin cotton layer over it. And she used to have it around her head. And she sit at the back like this, big eyes looking. And then first time I overslept Amrit Vela, I was so embarrassed to go out in morning class. I thought she would scold me, and I thought she would tell me off because I hadn't been in history over Amrit Vela. But I don't think she even noticed. There was never any atmosphere of that, of policing or looking out for each other. Just very, very loving atmosphere. And I enjoyed that. And we were also asked to write our life story and put it under Baba's pillow. So I wrote my life story and put it under my pillow. And Vishwaratan read it. And I thought Daddy Kumarka would read it, so I hardly had courage to walk out next day in the courtyard because all this rubbish I've written. But then I slowly asked around. I couldn't feel anything, no difference. Nobody looked at me different. So I asked Shiluba, and she said that Vishwarata Daddy takes them and he doesn't read English, so just don't worry. Oh, so nice. So nice. Yeah. With Kumarka, with Gosadadi, I didn't have that much interaction, but what happened somehow, I used to do massage, I'm a home learned massage, and they found out, so I used to go and massage Gulsadadi's legs because she sits so much. So these muscles, what are they called here? Hamstrings. Calf. Calf muscles. Calf. I get it. They were like stone because sitting too much cross-legged. So I used to go and massage her legs. And Niluban was there. And Niluban was very young, like nearly teenage. She used to play loud music and radio, like logic music in the evening when she was going to sleep. And Gulsara never said anything, never asked her to turn it down. It's like I was amazed. Wow. Very, very tolerant. Very, very, very special. She didn't talk much. But once I met her in Shantavan, she looked at me and she said, "Are you depressed?" Yeah. And I thought, maybe I'm not as happy as I normally am. Eh? She saw that. Yeah. I often felt I carry a very deep sorrow, which I don't know where it comes from. And I think I had it as a little. I remember myself often sad as a child. It's like inherited from past life, whatever. And she saw that. I had a feeling she saw that kind of sorrow. And I was, wow. Yeah. And in my experience, this kind of sorrow sort of goes with time. You just have to learn to live with it and embrace it. And then slowly with yoga and Baba's lab, you settle past life karma. But with Gusada, towards the end, we have had a climate change conference in Qatar. And she was in the flat where now Daddy Yankee's room was, and they made a corner room with windows where you could look out but not look in. And she was bedridden. She was in bed at that time. And so, but we could go and say hello. So three of us coming back from Qatar. And then she took my hand and she said to all of us, "Thank you." And I said, "Thank you for what?" For going to those countries that I could never go to. Isn't it amazing? So humble instrument. Mm. Yeah, very special. Mm. I think I covered all of it now, isn't it? More of Daddy, me and Lotta, we brought our mums to to uh, to Madhuban. And when my grandmother, it was my mom's mom, she was very ill towards the end. So mom had said goodbye to her. But then when we came to Malmö, to the airport, they called and she had left the body. But she decided to go to India anyhow. Yeah. And in Sweden, you see, they do the funeral anyhow 1 month, 1.5 months, 2 months after. Yeah. So, and so she went, and we came to Peace of Mind. And after a day or 2 days, we arranged a meeting with Daddy Yankee. And I told Daddy that my mom's mom had left the body, and Daddy became really angry on me. And she scolded me and says, "How can you wait 2 days before you come and introduce you to your mom and tell that her mom left the body? How can you wait so long?" And then she took my mom's hand and spoke to her in Hindi, and I translated. I got translation from Hindi to English, and then I had to translate to Swedish to my mom. But she said that you are now in a very high place up on the mountain. You're very close to God, and you can send good wishes to your mom and give her a very loving send off from here. And then she took her hand and she gave her a handkerchief to use for the funeral. And then she took her hand and walked all the way from Harmony House all the way to the dining hall with mom in her hand. Yeah, it was very special. She, and Daddy had this love for mums. I know many who they liked her mum. So since that time, my mom and Daddy Yankee has been sending gifts to each other. It's like for 20 years. I don't know how many angels I have. Mom has at home from and swans and this and that and. And then I had to help mom to work out what to send to her. And when I used to come to Daddy Yankee, she never asked, "How are you, Sonja?" She always asked, how is your mom?" And sometimes I used to get nearly cross on her. But then it turned out to be a blessing because towards the end, Daddy wouldn't remember you always when you come. First time it happened to me, I came to Daddy and she didn't remember my name. I had a kind of shock. I thought I'd done something wrong, or my aura is so black that she can't see me or something. But I realized, she's getting old. She's starting to forget people that she doesn't see every day. And I had a kind of, it's nearly like a grief when that happens. You lose somebody. And then I realized, why do I want Daddy to remember who I am? It's because you come to Daddy and you want her to remember you're running a center and you've done this project and this is, you come with your service life to Daddy. And that's why you want her to remember you. And it's a bit of an ego, actually. So I thought, okay, this is why I want Daddy to remember me. So next time I just went as a soul with no expectation or desire that she should know who I am. And I had such a lovely meetings. Yes, soul to soul. But if I said greetings from Sonja's mother, Sonja's mother, and then she would remember. So my mom became the back gate to her. Yeah, yeah. And then Sister Gente was coming to Copenhagen, and Daddy Yankee suddenly calls Sister Gente. I think Daddy was on the airport in India and got the touching to call Gente and send special greetings to Sonja and her mom. And exactly that day, my father left the body. Can you imagine? Yeah. It's the kind of, I don't know what it was. But I had a feeling I'd been in India my past birth and that mom pulled me to Sweden. And when I saw my mom in Madhuban for the first time, it's the first time I understood her. She doesn't fit into the Swedish forest as a farmer's wife. She's different. And when I saw her together with the Indians, a bit childish, and she's always been a bit childish. And when I saw her with the Indians, it's like she fitted in there. So if I think of her as an Indian, I understand her, no problem. So that was very helpful for me to settle anything kind of karma you have. I just think she's an Indian. And then I understand. Because after so long time with Indians, we know, all right? Mm. Yeah. Anything you want to say or ask or share or? Hello, Tim and Lila. Hello, Carol.
I love your sense of humor. It's been a total delight listening to all your stories. So thank you for those.
Yeah, thank you.
Sonja, would you be able to speak a little bit more about your time in the prisons and just what that experience has been like for you? I'd be curious to learn a bit more about that.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's like a lifetime, isn't it? 30 years in the prison. I don't know what many sins I've done.
It's not that common, right, for Brahmins to do that.
No, it's true. So it started with the English Jim Ryan, no, Naisha. You remember Naisha and her husband, I think. They were coming to Copenhagen. He had been doing teachings in the prison in London. So I called the biggest prison in Copenhagen and saying, I got a hold of the school. And I said, we have a person from England who's teaching meditation in prison. Would you like to meet him? And he says, no, but if you are interested to teach meditation, I want to meet you. So I dressed up in a white blouse and a blue skirt with totally the wrong dress because everyone has trousers there and nobody has white. And I somehow just had a good conversation with the school head of the school in the prison. Nowadays they have a teach pool of about 20 teachers in maths, in Danish, in sport is a big topic, and many others. And teaching in prisons is often regulated by law. How many hours you need to offer in each prison. So he said you can start. So I started as a volunteer. And for that I have to do 3 days key course, they call it. I have to walk next to a guard in the prison and learn how to handle the keys. And they are really that big. And it really opened my eyes how many judgment I have for people in prison. They say if you work in prison, at least once or twice you will meet somebody you know, because it's more common than you think. And I used to be afraid of the big guys and used to think the small sweet ones, what can they have done? And when you read the files, it's totally opposite. So, you get faced with a lot of your own judgment for these people. And people often ask me, how are the criminals? And I say they are like you and me. And because all of us have had criminal thoughts, and all of us can end up in trouble. And I meet I have so many good friends. And the the humor in there, maybe I got it from them, is very high because they survive on their humor. So I often laugh more in prison than otherwise because they're so funny, because that's the way they survive. And I hear many sad stories. But anyhow, I used to have meditation. It's called meditation teacher. And after 6 years as a volunteer, they stopped the volunteering scheme. So I had to become employed. And after some years, I used to incorporate Hatha Yoga into it. So I used to do Hatha Yoga with them for 40 minutes to calm them down. Because these behavior issues, they move all the time, their problem and speaking and, so much energy. They're 23 hours sometimes per day in one room. So when they come out, you can't sort of handle it. So Hatha Yoga used to calm them down. And then we used to do meditation after that. Speak about soul or God or angels and do guided meditation. And they love it. They just love it. Because they're also very naked in there, right? Because everything you hide behind is taken away from you. So they're often quite spiritual. Unless you are a hardcore, but they wouldn't come to meditation. It's voluntary. You sign up for it. Yeah? But I used to have long waiting lists. I used to have, half a year, 3/4 of a year waiting list to come. Me and football had equally long waiting lists. I used to be proud of that. And when you go there, it's like I stopped very early to have the intention of trying to change them or change their life, or because you become stressed on that and you burn out basically. So I thought I'll just go and offer some nice 1.5 hours and that's it. So then it's very nice just to friendship and pure meditation, talking about problems. And I really often used to say, I don't want to know what you've done. Because the more stories I get, the more difficult it is for me to forget them. And it's very easy for them to have judgment about them. So I used to think everyone is a drug dealer anyhow, because most of them are drug dealers. They're murderers. I used to think that you could see on a person if they killed another one, but you can't. It's not possible. You see, you can have so many funny thoughts. But it's challenging sometimes because I have to sit with their fear and their anxiety and their panic and their frustration. So I have to visit my fear and my panic and my frustration also. They trigger everything you have, they trigger just like this. So if you're not friend with your own trigger points, you will have a hard time. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. But I can only recommend it for self-development, really. Mm. Papa sometimes says this, go to. I have so many stories, sometimes I think I should write a book. Mm. Yeah. My last day, I finished now, retired from the prison. So the last day I smuggled a carrot cake to them all. We were not allowed to make cakes for them any longer in the end. So I had to smuggle it hidden in some papers. Mm. That's nice. Carrot cake with topping. Mm. Have any one of you been in prison? I mean, visiting? Mm. Yeah, you've been. Mm. I mean, the main issue is if you put people in prison for rehabilitation or for punishment. So I think 90% of them have a very problematic upbringing. So and in Copenhagen, on 600 prisoners, they have a half-time psychologist. So they are on the suicidal cases, basically. I've had a few our students who took their own lives in prison. So they're serious cases they work on, by half. And then they have the priests. They do a lot of job. They have a Catholic priest, a Muslim priest, and a Anglican priest. And they are full-time. But thanks for the question. Shall we finish? So how do we finish? Yes, meditation? Yeah. Anyone else want to say anything or ask? Good. Let's have a minute.
Om Shanti. Thank you so much, Sonja, for being with us this evening. It was just a delight.
Yeah, thank you. Nice
Thank
to
you.
meeting you. Also online. Maybe I see some of you Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Om Shanti,
Om
everyone.
Shanti.
Have a good evening.
Ah, okay.